Is the ninth waste sabotaging your lean efforts? In this video, I'm going to build on a concept that was taught to me by Rick Boats about the ninth waste in construction, and it's a fantastic concept, and I absolutely love his thinking on it. So I'm going to talk to you in brief about what the ninth waste is and how you can overcome it based on Rick's recommendations. I really think you're going to like this, and at the end, I'm going to link you to his blog post and his podcast so that you can reference this crucial information. Also, we've added it in the book Elevating Pre-Construction Planning. So if you're into that, stay with us. So what is the ninth waste in construction? Now, I've thought a lot about this, and I'm going to build off of what Rick says. And he's right, by the way, and I consider him to be a mentor. Unhealthy conflict is the ninth waste, or a lack of alignment, or people pulling in different directions, counterproductive behavior. And this makes sense to me because if you go through the 8 wastes, the Paul Akers order, which I prefer, overproduction brings about excess inventory, which has to be moved, which is motion, and transported, which is a waste. Those two things, and being so busy that you take your eye off quality, creates defects, right? Moving things and not doing it right the first time creates defects. Then when you have to fix that, that's over-processing, which creates waiting, workers waiting on work or work waiting for workers, and it's all a waste because we could have used the genius of the team. But the ninth waste is unhealthy conflict within the team or a lack of alignment. Those are two very different things, not using the genius of the team versus just outright fighting, right? And you could loop them together, but to talk about this and not adulterate the original 8th waste, we want to talk about it in this light. So it's unhealthy conflict. Let me go through the concepts one by one, what they mean to me. I don't want any disparity between what I say and what Rick says, so you can reference his blog post. But let me tell you this. In my opinion, the ninth waste is huge. In fact, there's 5 external factors in systems thinking that I'm always focused on that we've put in the book Elevating Pre-Construction Planning. And that is the ability to see the paradigm. Does the owner of the building see the paradigm of finishing on time and respecting people? If not, you'll have the ninth waste. The second external factor in systems thinking is paradigms and mindsets. Does the owner, owner's rep, designer, or actually within your own company, the general contractor company leaders or trade partner company leaders, do they see the paradigm and have the mindset of finishing on time well with operational excellence and caring for people? If not, you will have the ninth waste. You'll have unhealthy conflict. The third external factor in systems thinking is the goal of the system. Now, this might sound funny to you, but the goal of every project is not to finish on time and respect people. If you have a superintendent that keeps everything in his head, the goal is for that superintendent to feel important. If you have a project where the owner's rep is grandstanding and beating up the general contractor, the goal is not to finish on time and respect people. The goal of that project is for that owner's rep to make a name for himself. That's the goal. So if you don't have the goal properly aligned by all and agreed to by all, you will have the ninth waste, unhealthy conflict in construction. The fourth system or external factor in systems thinking is the structure of the system. If you're attempting to do one thing as the contractors on the side, but the structure of the team, the structure of the contract, the structure of anything that affects your work is not in line with lean thinking, then you will have the ninth waste. And the fifth external factor that I want to talk about in systems thinking is the rules of the system. A great example would be you have to use CPM. You don't get any float. You cannot get a time extension if it's not on a critical path, right? You must put a worker in every zone. You must recover with additional resources or overtime. All those things are going to crash land your project or put your project into a downward productivity spiral. They're not going to help. So they're going to create the ninth waste in construction. And so I just want you to know that this is such an important topic. We have to have an integrated team, integrated location, co-location, integrated communication systems, integrated goals, integrated contracts. That's why I love IPD so much. So let me talk to you about some of the meat of this concept. I think you're going to love it. But if you do love it, I would like to ask you to like this video and comment. Do you like this topic down below? I answer I may not do a good job of it, but if you just send me a message on YouTube, I'll like it myself. right? If you send me something that deserves a response, that sounds negative, but where you want a response, I personally respond. I may not do a good job, but it's me. It's not somebody else. It's not a robot. It's not a chat bot. It's not an assistant. I respond. So put something, if you want to talk to me, put it in the chat. And if I'm not like paying attention, just be like, J Money, pay attention. I'll dig in. I do my best, right? And please subscribe to the channel because we want you here. But let me talk to you about these cool concepts. Rick talks about misconception number 1, which is that lowest price equals best value. And it doesn't. Lowest bid never means lowest overall total cost. You get a low bidder that's going to change order you to death, that cost is going to be more than what a reasonable cost would have been. We've got to get rid of this thinking that we have to select the low bidder or we have to select the most irresponsible player. Here's the way Rick explained this to me. When you select based on low bid, you are intentionally incentivizing the contractor to spend the least amount of time on your project as possible. Because as Rick says, we sell time. And so labor hours cost money. So when you reduce the cost, you reduce the time, you reduce the care, you reduce the end product, the quality of the end product. It's insane. We must get away from this. Second, the misconception, which is number 2, is the concept that you can shed risk for the owner. I hate this one, and I'll liken it to surveying. I remember helping in Southern California a massive top 100 E&R company help with their field engineering, and I remember that they were about to get rid of field engineers, and their excuse was, well, we should just shed the risk to the surveyor. But they had buildings 5 feet in the wrong spot, elevation busts like 8 inches here, 2 or 3 feet there, problems everywhere that the team was dealing with. And so they, because they're intelligent, I won't tell you who it is, and you don't know who it is, they switched their focus from, forget this, none of our surveyors are actually paying for these big mistakes. We're going to beef up our field engineering department with surveyors and get it right the first time. Because there's no such thing as shedding risk. Because at the end of the day, is the surveyor going to come fix the building? Are they going to move it 5 feet in the other location? Are you going to sue them and put them out of business and get your money back? No, no, no. You're going to eat it. It's your butt, so you might as well get it right. This concept of shedding risk is ridiculous. When you shed risk to somebody, they're going to start acting in a manner that protects them. Buffers, lack of transparent, not buffers in tax planning, but like they're going to pad, they're going to sandbag. I should have used the word sandbag. They're going to protect themselves. They're going to be less transparent. They're going to CYA. They're going to pay for additional insurance above what's needed. They're going to hire lawyers and go into arbitration more than we need to. Like, people are going to defense up. They're going to armor up, right? And it's going to hurt the project. There is no such thing as entirely shedding risk. There's responsible risk allocation, and I'll tell you later, more importantly, risk mitigation or risk reduction. And all of these result in conflict, and unhealthy conflict at that. So Rick gives a couple of suggestions, which I want to give to you right now, and then you can dig further because this is a great concept. One of the first things that you can do is focus on the team, build trust, build connection, build good contracts, build a good environment to where it's mostly built on trust. Yes, you have your legal documents, yes, you have your contracts, but it's mainly built on trust and you have a great relationship. Spend more time there. The second one that I loved was focus more on risk mitigation than risk transfer. Lean in as a team and make sure that we're getting rid of the risk instead of just pawning it off on somebody else. This will do so much for your work and to eliminate the ninth waste. The third one that I love, remove the focus on price. Literally go after best value because low bid is almost never lowest overall total cost. So make sure that you're hiring based on qualifications and best overall value, which also means that you're paying for pre-construction planning, which is the statistical indicator of whether or not a project will go right or not. Pre-con planning is absolutely key. And if you do this with transparency, you're heading in an amazing direction. So listen to Rick's advice. Let's all work on getting rid of the ninth waste in construction. And so in the description below, I'll link you to his blog post. And I will ask you to comment because this is such a good topic. I hope you've loved it and I hope you work with me to get rid of the ninth waste everywhere we can. On we go.